My name is Lolita Citra Andriana. I will explain about definition of short stories. Short stories in English are fictional pieces that are shorter than novels. Short stories typically only feature a small cast of characters because they are shorter. Brief stories are described as short works or less than 10,000 words that convey the feeling of a single dominant and center on a single character in a specific circumstance. This reason that short stories are the most suitable literacy genre to use in English teaching due to its shortness. It's supported by Colley and Slaughter when they list for advantages of using short stories for language teachers. First, short stories are practical as their length is long enough to cover entirely in one or two class sessions. Second, short stories are not complicated for students to work with on their own. Third, short stories have a variety of choices for different interests and tastes. Finally, short stories can be used with all levels, or beginner to advanced, all ages or young learners to adults, and all classes.
My name is Yusfa Sofia Asminda, and I will explain about short story and language skill development. Short story allow teacher to teach the four skill to a level in language proficient. Using short story in learning activities such as discussion, writing, and acting out dialogues. Reading. Short story can be helpful to increase vocabulary and reading comprehension. By reading literary text, it improves more in vocabulary and reading. Writing. The short stories serve as a model. When student writing closely resemble the original work or conspicuously imitates its substance, theme, organization, and or style. When student writing demonstrates original tone, such as interpretation or analysis, or when it results from or is artistically engaged by reading. Some activities teachers can assign to develop student writing skill as preface paragraph 7 of the short stories. Write a book, report, or summarize the story in 5 to 7 sentences. Write one sentence on the theme of stories. Speaking and listening. Asking students to read story aloud can develop their speaking as well as listening skill. It also improving pronunciation. Some activities teachers can assign to develop student speaking skill. The student read a story aloud as a change activities. This first student read the first sentence. The second student read the second sentence, and so it will encourage student pronunciation and fluency. It's suitable for elementary schools. In an upper intermediate class, the student retell the story as a chain activity in small group. Students have a lot of opportunity to practice the irreversible connector or other discourse markers in a meaningful context. And to develop the listening skill, read a story out loud to students have uh, the opportunity to listen a native speaker of English and play a story if a recording is available.
I'm Siska Putri Utami. I will explain about the grammar in short story. Grammar in short story takes namely first, use of past tense. For example, the word at, when, and grow are some of the verb in their final form. Second, use of adverb of time. Generally, the adverb of time used is once upon a time, last year, tonight, and many more. The use of adverb of time is usually one package with the use of adverb of place, such as in a beautiful home, in a land far, far away, and so on. Third, use of noun phrases. Noun phrases are also grammar for a narrative text that you can use. In a narrative text, you may find many noun phrases. For example, charming prince, handsome lady, and many more. The use of noun phrases is used to qualify something. In order to help people who read this text imagine the situation and condition that occurred in the story in the narrative text. Fourth, like dialogue used in narrative text. The use of dialogue of direct comprehension is also often used. Usually, dialogue occurs between characters in the story. You will often find dialogue in the form of direct speech from the character. In order for the story to be more alive, test dialogues are constantly needed. In addition, the existence of dialogue makes it easier for readers from stories, folk tales, or even fables made using narrative text to imagine the atmosphere and the relationship that occur between characters. 5. Using action verb. For example, he killed the woman in the forest, or she walked out of the room with an angry face. Of course, the use of action verb is very important because its role in a story is certainly very helpful for the reader to expand the plot of the story. 6. Using conjunction in the form of time. The use of time conjunction has a function as a time indicator according to events that occur simultaneously or sequentially. Time conjunction try to make it easier for you to more easily understand the relationship between two events regarding the time they occur.
I'm Ashifa Nabila Jasmine. Now I will explain the material about the learning activities related to short story material in ninth grade junior high school with English syllabus. Because short stories are narrative texts, the syllabus we will use is KD 3.7 and 4.7. KD 3.7 contains comparing social function, text structure, and grammar element, some oral and written narrative text, with give and ask information related to fairy tales, short and simple according to context of use. Based on the syllabus, the learning activities that can be carried out are student practice finding the main idea, certain pieces of information, and the meaning of words in narrative text. So, the teacher must provide short stories as learning media. Then, the teacher can read it in front of the class while students listen and pay attention to the short story. After that, the teacher can appoint each student to read one sentence in short story. Students have learned to listen and speak. At the end, the teacher gives some questions based on the short story text that has been read for students to work in. In this way, students will practice reading and writing skills. So, students have got 4 skills based on learning short story material according to the syllabus. Okay, I will continue the material about the learning activities related to short stories material in 11th senior high school with English syllabus. Because the stories are narrative texts, the syllabus we will use is KD 4.5. That is, capturing meaning contextually relate to social functions, the text structure and linguistic elements of narrative, oral and written text, relate to short stories. Based on the syllabus, the learning activities that can be carried out our students practice reading and analyzing social functions. The structure and linguistic elements of several narrative texts in the form of short stories from other sources. To train the students for skills, the teacher will read short stories and the students will listen. Then the students repeat the story. Students have learned to listen and speak. Meanwhile, to practice reading and writing skills, students will work on questions based on the stories they have read.
So the conclusion is teachers should present students with an authentic model of language use because the goal of EVL instruction is to enable students to communicate effectively in the target language. She or he should do it by concentrating on literary and cultural factors in addition to linguistic ones. Short stories are a great tool to employ in ESL or EFL education programs since they provide these components. To get the most out of it, the short tale selection should take into account the course purpose, the learner profile, and narrative's content. The utilization of a single work of literature differs from classroom to classroom and from teacher to teacher since every teaching setting is different. Short stories may be powerful as the debate in this paper demonstrate.